I don't know which mic is working, so I hope the audio is good. But this is an update on my ros2 series. So I've had a epiphany, let's just say. So let me open up the ros2. Yeah. So, mm, find a publisher. SCPP. As you can see, this is a mess. you know, what I realized is that ros2 is a communication framework. It's built on DDS, distribution data service, I think. I forgot what it is. Or not what it is, but what it stands for specifically. I know what it is. It's simply data communication. And it's basically the selling point is that is high fidelity data communication. And basically that's what ROS is built upon. That's the main selling point, that you have these modular parts, nodes, part of a package, and they talk to each other in various ways. And these nodes are then programmed in their individual part in whichever language you want. C++, Python, even they have Rust, Java. But at this point in time, I'm more interested in learning and making projects and programs in a language rather than focusing on the communication and modularity so much, because anyway the real power of ros2 comes when you have too many moving parts. If you have a robot with like three sensors, like, I mean, three sensors as a simple program. I mean, in fact, even if it's just three sensors, you can implement ros2, but it's just like, I wanna get good at this point in time and programming in general, Python, C++, whatever comes my way, instead of focusing on modular communication of specifically in this framework, you know, because it's a good framework, especially if you start getting used to it. But, you know, if I'm trying to learn the ins and outs of a language, I'd rather not be slowed down by a heavily abstracted, it has its own itty bitty parts that, like, I'd rather focus on the language on itself, get really good at that, and then focus on the communication, because honestly you can pick up ROS really fast. If you just spend 1 month studying it, you will basically know whatever you need to know, as long as you have a good foundation. And that's what I want to build. I want to build a foundation, because I was studying on ROS2 book, and looking at it, it was very high quality, and I got a big understanding of what ROS is. And that being said, I realized that it's interesting, but it doesn't serve me at this point in time. I think ROS2 is only good to know and be good at once you have a solid foundation in programming and you already have, quite a few modular programs under your belt, or at least one. And what I mean by modular is that has like many moving parts, and you know but within one programming language. And then you have ros2, which basically can communicate with different programming languages because they are in a node and they use interfaces and whatever. But my point is that I'm changing my ros2 series, and I'm gonna be working on other projects that I find more relevant to me, because ros2 is not too difficult to pick up once you know what you're doing, especially if you have built up your fundamentals. It's like if you're trying to build a house of cards, and if you want to make one very sturdy, you're going to make a house of cards that's built with super glue. But if you're not completely an expert in super glue, but also in cards, you'd want to start with the basics, deep fundamentals, and that's cards. I'm still pretty good in both, but if I really want to get good at something, I want to focus on the fundamentals, and that's the cards. So probably I'm just gonna create a project that's not necessarily using a specialized communication protocol, or it might use some sort of protocol, but not something like ROS, something that's meant to really, how to say, scale at large. If I would use something, it would be something more fast and simple. But overall, Ross is pretty good, and I've created a custom, what you might call it, publisher by creating my own package and creating my own interface. And it's cool. You get to learn, but at the same time, you understand that everything that you've created is the glue. So this is my update on ROS2 development series. I'm gonna focus on other projects. As you can see, I uploaded my robotics video, as not robotic video, but the line following robot and other stuff. But yeah, so if you know how to program, you know how to do Rust too. Like you just need to spend a little bit of time and you'll catch it quick. Versus vice versa, if you know Rust 2 really well, but you don't really know how to program really well. I mean, that's weird because it's like knowing the pipes that bring, water from your boiler to your shower, but you don't know what the shower does and what the boiler does. So, it's better to work on deep fundamentals rather than, you know, reaching your hands out too far, but it's good to know what at least you will be working with. And that was at least good introduction for me for ros2 series. But obviously I didn't go into how I created my nodes and whatever. But once I started creating these nodes and publishers, topics, services, you know, I realized that for now this is not for me because it's just a communication protocol, or it's not just a communication protocol, it's a communication platform, you know, and I'd rather focus on just projects and getting good at programming to begin with in languages in general, not focusing too much on the communication platform of ros2. And if I will do some communication, it would be, like I said, more fundamental, more simple, more basic. So yeah, that's pretty much it.